Well, you are about to watch an entire bear hunting season here in Minnesota, starting from opening of baiting in mid-August right through the end of September when I eventually shot my bear. This is composed in two parts, and basically it's a 9-part vlog of the baiting and the trials and tribulations and things that we went through. It was a really tough season. And there's 9 vlog posts up until opening day, and then we start on opening day with the actual hunts. And this includes me and 2 of my friends, Dave, who's a buddy that lives right here, and my friend John, who is a deputy sheriff in southeast Iowa, who came up because he drew a bear tag, and I've deer hunted with him and so forth. So this is long. You're going to want to kick back in a recliner, and this is probably going to be a couple hours long when I get it all done, so we'll talk to you at the end. Well, here it is, August 15th already. Tomorrow is opening day of bear baiting for Minnesota, and I'm going to be hunting a couple of baits that have some history with, and then I'm also, holy smokes, the deer flies are incredible right now. I'm also going to be hunting a new bait, which is what I'm doing right now. I'm just out in an area here that I've looked at for a while. There is a huge swamp that direction from me, very big swamp, and then I've got a tree up there. As you can see, these deer flies really bite. There's a big tree that would be good for a stand tree at about 18 yards from where I stand right now, so I'm going to put the bait right here. Tomorrow being opening day, I'm going to come on in here with the bait and go ahead and put it all together, scent it down good with Northwoods Bear products, and I'll start with some pastries and trail mix and then go from there. Be doing 3 or 4 baits tomorrow because I've got some friends that also drew tags. It took me 6 years to draw this tag for Zone 45 here in Minnesota. And the interesting thing about that is that 3 friends also drew this same year, Paul, Dave, and John. Now, John's from southern Iowa, so he's going to come up for a few days before he goes on an elk hunt, and I'm going to try to get him on a bear pretty quickly, and he's going to film the hunt for you as well. Dave is a local guy, and Paul also is a friend. Well, my buddy Rick did not draw this year. He drew last year and got a nice bear, and then so he said he'll take care of making sure Paul gets gets some baits out, and Rick's a good hunter, so Paul's in good hands there. Hold on a second. Oh my gosh, that hurt. So Paul's in pretty good hands, and I don't have to worry about him. But also, Rick's son missed a big bear last year on a bait, and Rick told me he would show me where that bait is, and so that's an option for me as well. So anyway, I'm looking forward to a really fun hunt here. I'm going to be pretty selective. There's a lot of bears around, and I've got some pretty big ones that I know where they live, including a real giant with a bite out of his ear that I'll be hunting. And I'm looking forward to trying this spot. It's a new spot, but it really looks good. It's got everything the bears like, heavy cover. It's got water just right over here. This is a huge swamp, 4 miles long and about a half a mile wide. And there is some big bears in this area, so should be fun. Stay tuned. We're going to do some baiting and let me tell you a little bit about why I chose this spot here. This is the first spot that I'm going to put a new bait for 2019. This has got a lot going for it. First of all, I'm about a half a mile from the road and I can access it with a four-wheeler, and I'm about 75 yards from the bait right now. I don't like to drive the four-wheeler right up to the bait because it just creates too much attention, and other people might you know, go in and mess with your bait or steal your trail camera or whatever. So, you know, we're going to park here about 75 yards from the bait, and then this is a good spot to hide the four-wheeler also when we're hunting. There's a huge swamp over here. It's up to 3/4 mile wide and about 3 miles long. This is also really good heavy cover in here. There's a good stand tree here, a big oak tree that will work perfect for putting a tree stand in. And then I've got a nice area down in here where the cover is thick, and I like to be close to the water because bears use a lot of water, both to keep cool during the late summer, and also they're eating 20 to 25,000 calories a day, so they need a lot of water to digest that many calories. Another thing is about creating a comfortable site where they feel confident coming to the bait during the daylight is this thick cover, this thick undergrowth and stuff that now they can get from the water or from areas that I suspect that they'd be bedding in. They can get to the bait through thick cover. They don't like to walk through open areas during the daylight. So we're trying to create this kind of an environment where the bears feel comfortable coming into during the day. So this spot's got a lot going for it. It's actually county land. It's not state land, but it is public land, it's county land. And so it doesn't look like a bait site at all right now, but we're going to go in there with a chainsaw and machete and take some equipment in there, and we're going to get this thing ready to go, and then we'll load her up with bait and let her sit for about 3 days, and then come back and see what happens. So here we go. Okay, we got a nice little bait crib going right here. I have added pastries, trail mix, and this year I'm using a lot of licorice, different flavors of licorice, just because I have a ton of it. Actually, I have 3 tons of it. But so the bait's about ready to go. I'm just going to put the finishing touches on here with the Gold Rush. Now, Gold Rush is something I have been starting all of my baits with because it really works super well. This is used fryer oil, and then Gold Rush is super concentrated, and it kind of smells like sort of a mixture between caramel and butterscotch, and it is super effective at calling bears in. So I've used that for all the baits when I start them now, and it's just been really, really effective for me. So I just spread this around on the ground, so when the bears come in here, they're going to track it around and everything. And then I'm going to put some sprays down too. Gold Rush is from Northwoods Bear Products, and you hear me say Northwoods Bear Products a lot, and that's because I've grown to really trust their products. I'm using a wild cherry spray on this particular bait, and I try to use the same flavors on each bait and don't mix them up too much. I like to use more of the fruit flavors in the fall like this, such as blueberries, cherries, and more of the natural food imitating sprays and stuff. But what I like to do with this is get it up high, spray it up in the branches, and so I've got a three-tiered approach. I got the smells on the ground, and I got them up high too. So careful not to get it on my camera. So this place smells like a smorgasbord right now. Man, it's really good. Okay, so that's part one of this video. We got the bait here, and we'll come back and check it in about 3 days. And I'm going to do this in a couple, 3 different parts, so you can watch as we go along and enjoy the entire process. We got 2 more baits to get out today. We're going to do 3 today. And so I don't know if I'll film each of them to this extent, but hopefully this helps you understand why I choose the locations I do and how I get the baits going and get them started good. And so, you know, eventually, you know, one of me or my buddies is going to kill a bear at this spot, I think. So we'll see what happens. Thanks for being a part of it. See how a bear came and moved the logs? So a bear was here, and he ate some of the donuts. Okay, we've got a bear on this bait. We'll check the trail cameras and see what we got. I've got my 2 grandsons here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You see yourself in there?
Yeah.
So Skylar and Hunter are helping me check baits today.
Wow.
So we're 1 for 1 so far today. Let's check the trail camera. Skylar, you want to spray the gold mist? Spray it all around on the trees and everything. Spray real good, and I'll check the trail camera. So we went 2 for 3 here. 1 small bear on the home bait, and then you saw the other bear. And this 3rd bait here is not hit yet. And we had a lot of rain come through the day after I baited, and it was at bad timing too, right in the evening, and for about 4 or 5 hours. So you know, it takes time to get these things going, but the nice thing is once they get going, they really go good. And I got a feeling that you know, each of these baits are going to have several bears on them within about a week or so. But in the meantime, we are just keeping them fresh with fresh scent, and as the bait gets depleted, we will replenish the bait. So here we go. We'll check them again in about 3 days. Well, one of my 3 other baits that I put out is in a great location, a great general location, but I'm not in love with the exact specific location it's in. I'm kind of limited right there, and it hasn't been hit after 4 days, and so I decided to come up here. I'm 40 miles from home. I'm in an area that I've killed quite a few bears before, and the main bait that was one of my best baits, and I killed a couple bears off of it. My son Sterling killed his first bear off the bait and so forth. It's about 300 yards that way, but that area has been logged off, and so I came back farther into this old growth and found what looks like to be a really good spot here. It's we got a long running ridge right here, and then we've got beaver ponds on both sides, so it's a pretty good area. And the specific spot here I like because I got a bunch of downed spruce here and everything already, so I can cut it up to create my bait crib. I've got a good oak tree right there that's at 18-19 yards from where I'm going to put the bait, which is exactly where I like it. It has very little trimming to do in here and so forth. So anyway, I drove up here and then run the 4-wheeler back in here with a sled. It's obvious that nobody's been in here for a long time because there were trees down across the road getting in here that I had to cut up. But I have minimal cell service in here. I'm going to see if I can get one of my covert cell phone cameras to work in here, since I'm so far from home. If I can get that to work in here, then that'll be really nice, because I'll be able to just get photos of the bears texted to me from that camera. So anyway, got an awful lot of work to do, got a lot of bait to bring in here, and but it's a pretty good spot, and we've lost 4 or 5 days of baiting already, so we'll see what happens. But I'd like to think I can get some bears on this pretty quickly, and there's always the potential to shoot a really big bear up in this area. So here we go. looks good to go. We got good bait in there. Pastries, trail mix, breads with some used fryer oil. And I've sent it up good with Northwoods Bear products. I like this spot. Feels pretty good. Today is Wednesday. I will check it again on Friday and see what happens. If it's been hit, then I'll see what to do from there. Since I'm 40 miles from home, I'm probably going to load her up with bait really good and only probably check it every 4th day or so. And I'll bring the cellular phone camera in here and see if that works next time I come, assuming it's been hit. So thanks for watching this particular video, and there's more to come. We're checking the other 3 baits again, 2 of which are being hit fairly regularly. One's got a sow and a nice big boar on it. The other one's just got probably a 3-year-old male. He's real regular. I like the fact that he's there in the daylight, and 2 of the guys that are hunting with me this year have not shot a bear before, so that would be a really good bear for them. He's very killable, and he'd make an excellent rug because he's got a beautiful pelt on him, and he's not overly big, which is what you want, I guess, for a bear rug. 150-pound bear is about right for that. So anyway, thanks for being along, and we'll check with you in a couple days. Hey everybody, I got my friend Dave here with me today. Dave is going to be hunting with me this year, and we came up to this bait that I put out on Wednesday, and unfortunately it hasn't been hit, but we loaded it down with put some more bait on there, and I'm also going to give it some more Gold Rush. And it's been 2 days. I was really hoping that a bear would have been here, but I still have confidence in this bait. It's a good spot. So there's some lot of up and downs this year. We've got some things working against us. We had 2 real strong downpours of rain in the first 4 days of baiting, which washes all the scent down, of course, and so that didn't help us any. And there's also an abundance of natural foods this year. There's lots of hazelnuts. Some of the oak trees are just loaded down with acorns, and so there's some ups and downs. I've got 1 bait that has not been hit at all yet, and so I'm probably going to abandon it within the next couple days and put out a different one to replace it. We've got the bait at my house that's got a smaller bear on it who's somewhat regular, and I think he'll become more regular. And then, of course, I've got the bait at the big swamp that's just getting pounded. We went in there a little while ago here, and everything is gone except for some of the licorice. And I'll get some, I got lots of trail camera photos and video, so I'll put some of that up for you to look at too. So some ups and downs. We're going to keep plugging along here and keep working at it. I think we're going to have a really good chance of getting some bears at least a couple of these baits, and we'll see what happens. Thanks for tagging along with me.
About 20 pieces.
Rotten.
Yeah, it all fell apart when it So.
Okay, it's Saturday here, and I decided to abandon that other bait that hasn't been hit. It's got some pretty serious issues with it, I guess you could say. In fact, I'll just show you a short clip of video here of what I found just about in the parking area where I just walked from to get to the bait. Well, I arrived at the parking lot of a public hunting area where I have a bait today to check the bait, and I discovered something that I guess is kind of a telltale sign of why we lock up our cameras, and a real issue that's somewhat of a problem in these rural areas. If you want to look at this, you'll see what I mean. Someone opened up their car door, and that's what fell out. So as you can see, that and the fact that there is a dead skunk laying 100 yards upwind of that bait. It's in a great area. The location isn't perfect, but so anyway, I took my sign down, abandoned that bait, and I'll maybe check back in a week and see if something other than raccoons have hit it. But so I'm about a mile south of there right now in an area along a swamp, and I found a pretty good area back in here, and I have never hunted this particular piece of property, but we're going to go ahead and put a bait in here. I got my wife and best friend and bear baiting buddy here with me today. She's kind of pretty much up for anything, so I utilize that whenever I can. It's nice to have her along too. It's fun. But so where I got the camera up, we're going to go ahead and finish putting the bait in the crib here that we're building, and we'll see what happens later on. And so stay tuned. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, so you don't miss any of these videos. We're still got over a week left before the season starts, and I'm sure that we'll be getting lots of pictures of bears on the trail cameras that I can share with you. So thanks for tagging along with us, and we'll see you on the next video. We're going to run back into the big swamp bait here today. I checked it a couple days ago, and it was almost completely cleaned up except for some of the licorice. There's 3 big bears on it, and so I want to make sure we get it full of bait. I've got 2 buckets of trail mix, 2 buckets of assorted breads with a little bit of used fryer oil dripped on them, and also about 40 pounds of pastries that I'm going to put in here. And probably the next time we come in here, it will be 2 days from now. So let's run back in there with the 4-wheeler. Got Sherry, my wife, here, and we're going to see if we can battle these bugs. It's cloudy today, and boy, the bugs are horrific. So let's roll. Well, this is what we like to see. It's completely wiped out except for some of the licorice, and for some reason they don't seem that interested in the licorice. But we're going to load this back up, and I'm sure we got lots of photos on the covert scouting camera, so I'll show you a bunch of photos and video from the bears that are in here, and then I'm going to come in here probably in about 3 days again, and I might have to check it out more often than that. But next time I come in here, I'm probably going to bring a tree stand with me, because I'm almost certain that somebody is going to be hunting this stand on opening day next Sunday. All right, we're using wild cherry, Northwoods wild cherry on this bait. Obviously it's working. All right, I'll go back to my computer and load up some of these pictures and show you some good video. I'm sure we got, hopefully that great big sucker's back in here. Well, there is good news and bad news. The bad news is it just keeps raining, and that just makes it really tough, in addition to the fact that there's so much natural food. But the good news is I've got two baits that are working, and they are really pounding. This particular bait right here is getting hit really hard. It was hit, the first trail camera picture took place only 10 hours after I put it out of the first bear. There's multiple bears on it, and then the big swamp bait is just going nuts. That bait right now, I'm putting 200 pounds of bait every other day, and every time I come back it is wiped out. So that bait is really going good. I'm super excited about it. And this bait right here, and then everything else is just languishing right now. So we're going to keep working on it, but I'll show you some trail camera videos from this particular bait. And then unfortunately the camera quit on the big swamp bait, so I didn't get any pictures for this time around. So I had to go back in there second time, and when I found out the SD card was empty, I had to go back in there and replace the camera. But this is a really nice spot down in here. And this one, somebody will definitely hunt this one on opening day. So probably tomorrow I'm going to come in here and put a tree stand up. We're having fun. Well, here it is, Thursday, the 14th day of bear baiting, and it's been a roller coaster ride. Sunday is opening day, and I'm at the big swamp bait. I'm going to go in there and put a tree stand up today. I haven't checked this since Wednesday. I took the day off yesterday. It's a small setback, I guess, to not be in the woods working with these bears every day, but my uncle died. He was a great man. He was a veteran, and I drove 4.5 hours each way to the funeral yesterday, got home late last night, and I'm really glad I did. I got to spend some time with some family, cousins, aunts, and uncles that I don't see very often, and you know, family's more important than bears, so I'm really glad I did that. And like I said, it's a very small setback. So I'm a day behind on when I was planning to set up the stands and stuff, but that's all right. We're going to go in there today. Now, I'm loading this bait up. I've got the best breads. I mean, I'm not talking just loads of breads. I've got the best stuff, such as bagels with blueberries in it, and the best breads that are whole wheat or got lots of seeds in them and stuff like that. I got 40 pounds of pastries. I've got huckleberry licorice, and boy, this road out here is busy this morning. I got huckleberry licorice. I've got 2 5-gallon buckets of trail mix, and I've got something really special that I only do at specific times. Now, a lot of people say, oh, there must be some sort of a secret bait. Well, there isn't a secret bait. I get this question all the time in my seminars and things like that, but the one thing that is actually kind of close to a secret bait is the fact that bears love meat, and they love these beef scraps, and they're legal to use in Minnesota if they don't have any bones in them. Now, here's the caveat where a lot of people make a mistake. Make sure that your bears are hitting consistently before you put beef out, because once it starts to taint, you can ruin your whole bait. So they got to eat it quickly. And the other thing that I do is I actually put it in a freezer. This is frozen, and so when I put it out, that gives me more time to make sure that it stays fresh. Bears are not efficient predators. They kill a lot of fawns in the spring, but other than that, they don't get a lot of meat. And they love meat, and this fat is really good for them this time of the year, and so they relish it. It really, really works good. It's dynamite. So that's another thing to keep in mind. But once again, you got to be really careful how you use it, because it can do more harm than good if you don't use it at the right times and make sure that it stays fresh. So I got the stands. I'm going to be spending the entire day in the woods today, and things are, you know, like I said, up and down. The home bait, I had one nice bear on there that I'm sure that John or Dave, either one, would have been happy with. He went AWOL for 5 days, and now another bear showed up there yesterday. So, you know, maybe we'll get that other one back, and but at least we've got a bear there. We've got a couple bears down at the 40-acre bait, and then we got the big swamp bait here, which is very exciting for me because it's really hopping. And here's the key. I plan to hunt this bait opening day unless there's a west wind. I will not go in here if there's a west wind. No matter how excited I am about it, I'm not going to take a chance. These big mature bears, you cannot make a single slight mistake with them, or you can ruin the whole thing that you worked over 2 weeks to get to. So if there's not a west wind on Sunday morning, then I expect to hunt this bait. So anyway, let's head back in there. We got a load of stuff to haul in there. It's going to take a while, and I got to try to be in there and quiet as possible and get these stands hung. And man, what an awesome day to be in the woods. sweat fest. But anyway, the bait was completely wiped out, as you saw. I really loaded it down, and then I got to stand up, and the wind is really swirling in here right now, so I'm gonna get the heck out of here. But I'll show you the stand. Well, I'm home here after setting 2 tree stands and baiting those 2 baits, and if you can see, you see here these barrels, I actually, believe it or not, have gone through 3 of my 4 barrels of trail mix, and 3 chest freezers full of pastry and bread, and probably 300 pounds of licorice, plus some other assorted stuff. And but it looks like it's really going to pay off. I got 3 baits working, And I just feel pretty confident here that, I mean, as you saw, we got some really nice bears going, and I have kind of a dilemma on the big swamp bait. I knew that was going to be a good bait when I put it in there. I had no idea I was going to have 3 shooter bears that are pretty regular and showing up in daylight enough to make me just pretty confident about it. So anyway, I'll probably do one more of these vlogs before we hunt. We got Friday and Saturday here left, and then we'll start hunting on Sunday. So I hope you've enjoyed these. You know, I hope you've learned something from them. I've you know, got 20 years experience doing this. My way is not the only way. I'm not the only person that has figured out how to get these bigger bears to come in during the daylight. There's a lot of little things that you have to do right. But anyway, I appreciate that you have followed along. And also, I would ask you, if you have questions or comments, or is there something you would do different, or if you wonder why I'm doing something the way I'm doing it, just leave a comment below. I'll try to answer them. And but once again, just thanks for being a subscriber, and thanks for participating in this. I enjoy bringing it to you, and I do value the fact that you're a part of this. So we will see you at least one more time. I'm hitting this with gold mist one last time. Tomorrow's opening day. This bait was pretty much completely cleaned up, and I put almost 200 pounds of bait in here 2 days ago, so that gives you an idea of how much they're eating. I'm likely going to have a shoot don't shoot decision tomorrow afternoon, because there's 3 just amazing bears on this bait, 3 over 300 pound bears, and the biggest bears typically do not come in first. So I have to make a decision. Do I pass the really nice bears in hopes of shooting the biggest bear, who, if he comes in the daylight, has been coming in at the last few seconds of daylight? Well, if he doesn't come in the daylight, then I've got another bear in front of me, and I got to get out of the tree stand and leave. You know, you can ruin 2 weeks of work by spooking these bears when they're right in this area, and they don't, you know, it's just going to be a tough call. But here's the deal. I got trail camera pictures from the last 2 days. I'm going to really analyze the bears when they came, and what size they are, and also, of course, what times they're coming. And then I've added another thing to this, another component to this. Covert Blackhawk cell phone scouting camera that will text me photos as they're taken. So we've got 4 baits working. We've got 3 hunters. 3 of the baits are just completely erratic, and this one, the one I'll be hunting, is just almost too good to be true. So this is the last vlog. From here on out, we'll be hunting. Thanks for following along. I really appreciate it. Well, it is opening day of Minnesota's bear season, and man, did I get sweaty getting in here. These things are a lifesaver. Scent killer. Okay. So here's the situation. If you have been watching the vlogs that I did leading up to this point, then you know all about the bears that I've got on these baits and the friends that are hunting with me. If not, I will just tell you that I'm sitting on a bait where I've got 3 really big bears in a year that is a really tough year. Everybody that I've talked to is really struggling because there's so much natural food this year. The white oaks are full of acorns. The hazelnuts, the berries had a great year. They're done now, but they had a great year in berries. Raspberries, blueberries, pretty much everything. And I'm in central Minnesota, and I'm on a bait I call the big swamp bait. And the reason that's called the big swamp bait is because there's a huge swamp that is just on the other side of this bait. This location is terrific. And I've got 3 really nice bears coming in here regularly. I'm getting a lot of pictures of them. I'm going to check them on my cell phone here in a minute because I just pulled the card out of the camera. But these bears, some of them have been coming in pretty early. There's 3 of them that are probably 300 pounds. The smallest one, the biggest one's probably pushing 400. He's got it all scarred up face. And he doesn't come as often in the daylight, but he is here. And he's fairly regular. So I've got a really good chance to kill a heck of a bear off this bait tonight, opening night. We've got a south wind with just a little bit of west to it, which is good for this bait. Anything with, very much west to it's not going to work here. I guess there's a decision-making process that I'm going to have to go through when I see a bear, because all 3 of them are bears that most anyone would be thrilled with. But the biggest one is, it'd be by far the biggest bear I've ever shot in Minnesota. It's a do-it-yourself public land hunt, and getting a bear, mature male bear, on a bait during the daylight in a do-it-yourself public land hunt in highly pressured, high hunted areas. It's just so difficult, and I've got 3 of them. It's just crazy. So life is really good right now. Let's see what this evening brings. I just was getting text while I was driving my 4-wheeler out to the stand, and I got this from my buddy Dave. There's a bear right in front of his crossbow at my home. That is literally about 100 yards from my back deck. And Dave is sitting on that bait. He had 2 bears come in the first 15 minutes, and he just shot one of them. I wasn't even in the stand yet, and he already had a bear. Hope you can see that. I'll cut this off my phone and put it in this video. He's unbelievable. It's 5 o'clock. About 10 minutes ago, the wind switched to the west, which is terrible for in here. Gosh, it's opening day, and I got big bears on this bait. I cannot take a chance. I got to get out of here. I mean, I could wreck this bait. I waited 10 minutes to see if the wind was going to stay out of the west, and then I checked my phone, and the app shows that it's supposed to be west to southwest for the rest of the evening, and I just can't take a chance on this bait with these big adult male bears in here. So tomorrow it's supposed to rain. I might not get to hunt again for 2 days, but I can't ruin this bait on the first night. I've got over 2 weeks of hard work getting these bears in here, and so I'm going home.
About 6 inches into the ground there. And he headed off.
He went this way.
Yep. He went down through from up on the stand. I watched him. He went through there. I could see him turn, and he turned and went down into there. Then I heard water splashing down in there.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Taking a sled
This
down
is exciting. Yeah, let's just take the sled with us and go. You didn't see any blood yet, huh?
No. by the looks of it. Turned right here.
Let me know where you're seeing blood, and I'll just weigh the last blood with you. So you would just get on a trail. But there it is. Okay.
Yeah. Where'd you find it? Oh.
That's why we weren't seeing much blood, is because it's the, you know, that stuff come out and was plugging up the. Dave, that right there is a 140-pound bear. It's the tip. It's a little bit above average for what people shoot in Minnesota. I mean, that's a really, for your first bear.
Yep.
Gosh, he's a pretty one too. Geez, he's got a nice pelt.
I was only in the stand not even half an hour, I don't think, and I had a bear come down the edge of the field and cut into the woods. I watched it for a while, and then I heard a noise. It was looking back into the woods, and I looked, and there was another bear. It was standing up. They were both about the same size. They were eating on licorice, and there was pastries in the barrel. And they come up, they were eating that. The one took a mouthful of licorice and went off into the woods. I thought, well, I'll sit for a while and see what happens. And about 15 minutes later, they came back. So by 4:45, I got my first bear.
You were trying to decide because you texted me. I hadn't even gotten to the stand yet, and he was texting me pictures of this bear at the barrel, and I'm like, you know, that's a good representative bear for your first bear. If you want to shoot it, shoot it. So I'm happy with it. I hope you are. He's got a beautiful pelt on him. It's a, you know, nice, good, average, slightly above average representative bear for Minnesota. So now your hunt is done on the very first day.
Yep. Tried 5 years to get a license.
Yeah, 5.
Done in the first hour.
5 preference points, and we got a nice bear here. So let's get her home and get him skinned. Well, we're almost a week into the bear season here, and I suppose I should give you an update. You're probably wondering why I haven't put out a video for a few days, so let me just bring you up to speed on what's been happening. It's kind of been up and down. Just a reminder, you probably saw that Dave got his bear here on my home bait on opening day, and also Rick was baiting for Paul, and Paul shot also a nice representative bear on opening day. So that's 2 for 4, I guess you'd say. And then we ended up pulling the bait that was about 40 miles north of here because it just had a sow with 3 cubs on it, and sometimes those more aggressive big sows like that will just take over a bait, and no other bears will use it. So that's kind of where we're at there. We just pulled the plug on it. John is he's hunted the 40 bait a couple times. He's hunted the home bait a couple times, and just kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time. And so I ended up letting him go out to the swamp bait. The swamp bait has quite a few bears on it, as many as 8 in 24 hours. There are 3 huge bears that have been on that bait. Scarface, and I've named them. Scarface is one, Big Slick is one because he's got a real shiny, real nice sleek pelt on him, and he's about a 300 to 350 pound bear. And then the belly dragger bear is another one about probably 350 plus, and Scarface is, I'm sure, if he's not 400, he's darn close. Well, Scarface has been AWOL for about 5 days now. The belly dragger bear, I had a close encounter with him, which I'll tell you about here in a second. But John ended up going out to the swamp there, and he had a really close call with Big Slick, who came right to the edge of the bait site and sat down and just looked around and then left. He also had another bear that was a shooter bear that came in right at last light, and it was actually a few minutes before the end of legal shooting light, but John didn't feel like he could see his pins well, and he couldn't video it, of course, and he finally just decided the ethical thing was to not shoot the bear, which I respect. Unfortunately, that put him in a situation where he had to get out of the stand with a bear in the proximity, and also another bear he said he could hear around there, which was probably Big Slick, or at least there was one other bear around there. Could have been the belly dragger. So anyway, there was 2 bears spooked by that episode. So we have rested that bait now for 3 days. Nobody's been in there. And last night, my cell phone camera texted me pictures of 5 different bears between 4 in the afternoon and 3 in the morning, most of which the belly dragger, Big Slick, and there's a 200-pound bear in there that would be a good shooter for someone. Those are all nocturnal. The weather has been really creepy on us. I mean, we've got a lot of rain. It seems like it's been raining every other day, which makes things kind of tough because it knocks down your scent and the bait turns to mush and so forth. We've had some real just downpours and just heavy rain. A couple of those, and one of them had a lot of wind associated with it. The next morning, I went out and I happened to be driving by my neighbor's driveway, and I took this short video right here that gives you an example of what can be a real problem when the wind blows this time of the year. It knocked down a bajillion acorns all over the woods and everything like that. So that was, 3 days ago now. Well, the baits have been tough since then, and so we still have pretty good opportunity to shoot an average bear, but I waited 6 years for this tag, and I've got some really big bears on the baits, and it just makes sense to me to hold out. Unfortunately, John's got to go home if something doesn't happen pretty quick for him. He's from southern Iowa, and so he's just had really bad luck. He's a cop, so I accused him of going down to the baits and eating the donuts, but I'm sure that's not really the case. But anyway, so that's where we're at right now. I mentioned that I had this close call with the belly dragger bear. This was on the 3rd day of the season. I went in there, had a good wind, and unfortunately this bear came in from a direction that I was not expecting, and I just did this short segment that I wanted to explain what happened there, and I think you'll really learn something from it, so I'll play that right now. When I settled into the stand yesterday, I thought there's probably an 80% chance that I'm going to kill a bear today. I mean, I felt really good about it. It was really unfortunate what happened the first day, and I knew there was rain coming in, but I was hoping that one of these big bears would come in before the rain hit. So it was probably about 7 o'clock, and I was watching the radar, and the rain was getting close. But I heard a noise, and it was a crashing noise, and it sounded as if a bigger bear was chasing a smaller bear away, and that's pretty common around these baits. And I had a picture of a small bear on the bait that was texted to me by my covert scouting camera, the cell phone camera, at 3 o'clock before I even went out there, so I knew there was a small bear in the area. And so when I heard this noise of this chasing and crashing and stuff like that, I just become super focused on that area right in front of me. The bait is exactly to my left, and the area right in front of me is the area where I was hearing this crashing. It seemed like it was about 50 yards away. So I just became hyper focused on that area, and it was probably 10 to 15 minutes later that this happened. I got to back up a little bit here, and I got to explain something to you, because a lot of people that are watching this probably don't know this. bears have something on the roof of their mouth that's called the Jacobsons organ. And it is connected to the same part of their brain that their nasal cavities in their snout, all of those olfactory receptors in their snout are connected to a part of their brain. It's bigger than a human's brain. It's one of the reasons why they can smell so well. But this Jacobson's organ is on the roof of their mouth. And if you've ever seen a bear who's just kind of doing his nose up and down like this, and he's kind of curling his lips and he's really testing the wind, what they're doing is they're drawing air across that Jacobson's organ because they can actually smell with their mouth. And when they do that, they make this kind of a hissing suck sound that's really, really quiet. I mean, you got to be really, really close to hear it. And I've hunted bears all over North America for 20 years. I've probably only heard this sound 3 or 4 times just because you have to be so close to them. It's not a loud noise at all. Okay, back to the story. So I was focused on what was right in front of me and the bait, and I'm expecting to see a bear step out at any time. And then all of a sudden I heard that noise, that hiss, and it was over here to my right. And I knew it had to be super close, and so I slowly moved my eyes and I just went like this, and the bear is right there, 10 feet from the base of my tree. And it's the big bear I call the belly dragger bear. He's a beautiful specimen, the kind of bear that anybody that likes to bear hunt would shoot and love to shoot. Well, he had come in on the trail that I walked in on, which I did not expect at all. You know, it's one of the reasons I set up my baits this way, is that I can walk to the tree and get in the tree without going all the way to the bait. Well, this bear is coming in that direction. He's directly downwind of me, but he's so close that I'm watching him thinking, okay, he got this far and my scent is clearly going to be going over the top of him right now. My scent stream is, and I've done everything basically humanly possible to minimize my human scent. You know, we have great products that really help kill scent, and I use them and I believe in them. I also understand that nothing is good enough to completely eliminate, totally eliminate your scent. And so a lot of people might say, okay, so if you can't completely eliminate your scent, why bother to try at all? Well, I could tell you lots of stories where there's huge value in reducing the amount of scent that you're giving off. Okay, but that's a whole different discussion for another time. So I've really minimized my scent as much as possible. And my scent stream is going over the top of this bear, and he took a couple of steps, and I think, okay, I'm going to get this bear. He's going to go to the bait because he's, you know, 2 more steps and we're in the clear here. Well, he didn't make the 2 more steps. He lost his nerve, and he turned around and slowly walked back. And when he got about 15 yards back to my 4-wheeler trail that comes in, or maybe a little more than that, then he got a full whiff of me. And he did not bolt, he didn't freak out, he just snuck down this way and went into the bush. So that was the encounter that I had with a belly dragger bear. And I know, sorry this was kind of long, but I wanted to share it with you because there's a lot of information here that probably a lot of you don't know. So that's what happened there. Over the next few days here, it's supposed to rain the next 3 days, and you know, if it rains in the evenings, we probably will not hunt. I've got a new bear, a nice 250-pound bear or so that showed up at the home bait again here now just last night. He ate a lot, so he might become a regular bear here, which is good. Big Slick and the belly dragger bear are back on the bait, but so far they're completely nocturnal. And so typically you have a southeast or east to northeast wind with this rainy weather. So if we get some breaks in the rain in the afternoon, it's a really good time to hunt. So we'll see what happens here. Hopefully we'll be bringing you a video of a really big bear being shot. So stay tuned. Thanks for enjoying these videos with me, and also, as always, please leave a comment below if you have any questions. I'll try to answer them the best I can. Any comments, what would you do different, you think I'm doing anything wrong, you know, put her down there. So we definitely would love to hear from you, and thanks for being a part of this. We'll talk to you again in a couple days. This is an awkward introduction, I understand. I'm right here in my house getting ready to go out bear hunting. Very unusual, but here's the situation. I have been patiently waiting for days for the right moment to strike on these two big bears that I have on a bait. I've been waiting for the wind to be right. I've been waiting for everything to be right. I've been analyzing trail camera photos. Here's what's happening. Slowly, as I have been really patient, I've just been baiting every other day with mostly trail mix and some pastries. And I have slowly been watching these trail camera photos as I've completely stayed out of there, kept my scent to an absolute minimum in there. And the bears have went from coming in to from 2 to 3 hours after dark, slowly over the last 5 days working their way up until last night they came in right at dark. And the end of legal shooting light is 8:13 tonight. The bear I call the belly dragger bear is about a 350 pounder. He came in at 8:04, and then immediately a few minutes after that, last night, Big Slick, who's another 350 poundish male, came in and ran it off. And they've been working their way forward. So the wind is out of the east right now. It's been raining all day. It started raining about 11 o'clock. I baited about 11 o'clock right before the rain started. So all my scent got washed away by this heavy rain that we've been having all day. Now normally I'd try to be in the stand for between 3 and 4 o'clock. Well, it's 5 o'clock right now. So it's way late and I haven't even left home yet here. But I've been watching the radar and the rain is just about to quit. Now rain is a terrible time to be in the stand to hunt for bear. Bears hardly move at all during the rain. They don't like it. Okay, it's noise, it's no scent, it's things are moving, the wind's usually moving things around. They just don't like to move during the rain. They hole up under a spruce tree somewhere or whatever. But one of the best times to be in the stand is right after a rain. So watching the radar here, it looks like the rain is just about to end. So I am just going to make a run for it. I'm going to drive out there in the rain, and the minute that the rain ends, I'm going to jump on the four-wheeler, drive back in there, park about 150 yards from the bait, walk the rest of the way into the bait, and I'm not going to do what I would normally do as an introduction and an explanation in the stand. So this is what we got. It's kind of a crazy move, but sometimes that's what you have to do to kill these great big bears. Here we go. Alright, I'm in the stand. Got in here without a hitch. Wind is really good right now. The rain is letting up a little bit, and it should be pretty much quitting here in the next half hour. It's 5:30, which means I got about 2.5 hours till I won't be able to see to shoot with this heavy overcast, and probably be 15 minutes before that when I will no longer be able to film. So I hope if I get a shot that I get it on video, but with these big bears sometimes you only get one chance at them, so it'll be shot first, priority of the video second. So alright, we're going to settle in and hopefully don't get too soaked before the rain quits. Here we go. Well, I've been in the stand only half an hour and another cell popped up. I had about a 20-minute break of rain and it was just blowing out of the trees is all, but then another cell popped up and it's a doozy. It's got a bunch of red in it, so gosh, I cannot get a break. I got to get out of here before I get all my camera and everything soaked. Well, we'll try it again another day. Well, it is Wednesday, and it's time to make my move. You just saw Monday where I tried it again, just didn't happen for me. Got rained out again. It's been a real struggle. But everything is right today. The wind is right. I've been really being patient and just baiting these bears and feeding them, watching the covert cell camera photos so I know exactly what's going on in there. And because I've stayed out of there and because I've been patient and waited for the right moment, the bears, the two biggest bears, the belly dragger and the big slick bear, have slowly gone from coming in at 10, 11 o'clock at night to coming in right at dark, right before dark. And then last night, the wind was from the northwest, so I decided not to hunt, even though I expected them to come in a little earlier yet, and they did. The bear I named belly dragger was there at 7:45. Shooting light ends at, I think, 8:12 tonight. Probably we're looking at about 8 to 8:05 when I can still see my pins. It's heavy overcast today. It rained this morning, but it's quit now. This feels really good. I want to do an opening right here to explain before I go back in there, because I don't want to talk too much in the stand. So anyway, I feel really good about tonight, and I'm headed in there, and we're going to wait it out, and hopefully in about 3 hours or so, the wind is supposed to stay northeast all evening, and in about 3 hours, right before dark, we'll have a chance to get a shot at one of these big bears, and I expect to see two of the smaller bears before the big ones come in. So let's get back in there and make it happen. Not going to talk when I got in the tree stand because I believe these bears are bedded really close here. But I have to tell you this, there's been a bear in my tree stand since I was here on Monday. He was up in this tree. It's a big oak tree, and he was breaking off branches and eating acorns in this tree. And then there was a pile of branches on my stand and hulls from acorns. So there's actually been a bear in this tree. And I like the wind in here, so we're gonna see some bears tonight. It's not ideal weather. It's cool. It's only 50 in the 50s and a little bit breezy, but these bears have got to eat, and there've been so much rain that they have they keep getting rained off the bait and everything like that. So I put fresh bait in here about noon today. I feel really good about this, so this could be the night that it happens. still dark. I've seen 2 bears so far. Both of them came in to my right, walked in on the trail I came in on again, which I thought would be really unusual, but now 3 bears I've seen do that. And that is the wind direction. And then they loop around and go to the bait. The smaller of the 2 never did go to the bait. I think he got spooked off by the bigger one. The bigger one went to the bait and fed for a little while and then left. Pretty sure it's a big sow. It looked like a 250-pound bear. Really nice bear, but you know, bears that age and size, it's hard to tell sows from boars. But I'm pretty sure this one was just a big sow. It's very encouraging that I've already seen 2 bears, though. Well, I'm back in the truck here. Just wanted to break this down for you real quick. My four-wheeler was parked about 150 yards from the bait, and when it got to the point where I really couldn't see my sight pins, there's still 10 minutes of legal shooting light, but there is it's just pretty heavy cover in there, so it just got dark on me. So I just got my stuff together really quietly and got out of there without any lights. First I passed up that one 250-pound bear that offered me a nice shot, and I don't know, maybe I'm nuts for passing up a bear like that, but that's just really not what I'm after. So I've shot a lot of bears like that, and I'm really just interested in the 2 biggest ones that are on this bait. So it was 20 minutes before dark when that bear came in. Just really didn't get a great look at him. 3 quick encounters with him. The last one there, as you saw, he came in, looked right at me and grabbed a donut and buggered out of there and just went back in the bushes to eat it. And he clearly saw John when John was in that stand here a few days ago, because he really looked up at the stand right away when he first got to the bait, and then he actually even stood up. I probably have that on my trail camera. I'll show it to you if I do. We got some rain here the next few days, but I'm just going to keep plugging away at this, just keep food in front of them. And I saw 3 bears tonight, and there's 8 bears that I know of that have been seen on this bait here on my trail cameras. So we'll just stay with it, and what else are you going to do? I still got a bear tag in my pocket. So thanks for following along with me, and we will see you again in a few days. Well, if there's one thing that I've learned in 20 years of bear hunting, that is that bears are on their own time schedule, and there's very little that you can do to influence when they come to a bait. However, what you can do is be really patient and just work the bears carefully. Make sure you got quality bait in front of them, and just stay with it and don't hunt at the wrong times, which is what I've done here over the last couple weeks. Now, things have been really, really difficult. We have had, I'm pretty sure, 7 of the last 9 days it's rained. It's just been really, really tough. I got lots of bears on this bait. They're coming at all hours of the night, and some of the smaller ones are coming anywhere between 3 p.m. and dark. And the big issue is, can I get the big ones to come in before the end of legal shooting light? Now, here's the deal. I started out with 3 really big bears on this bait. Scarface, Big Slick, and the belly dragger bear. Scarface vacated the bait basically, I think he's only been back once since the season opened almost 2 weeks ago. Big Slick was really predictable, had a couple close calls with him. I've been watching carefully the bear I call belly dragger, who is an absolute giant. And he is really super cautious, but he went from coming in later in, in 2 or 3 hours after dark, and as I've just stayed out of here, he is now coming in a little bit earlier. Last night he came in at 7:36, which is a half an hour before the end of legal shooting light. I almost hunted yesterday, but the wind was wrong, and I'm really glad that I did not, because my wind would have blown right to where he came in from, and it would have definitely decreased my chances of getting him tonight. But so now my odds are really good of getting him tonight. Like I said, there's just nothing you can do to really influence when the bears come. But the fact that he has come in twice now before the end of legal shooting light and been unmolested and got some good food to eat, that's a positive thing. Okay, another issue that we've had is because of all this rain, the bait was just a sloppy mess. And I noticed that the bears, they were coming in and they would eat for, a half hour or so. They were really feeding good. And then with all this rain, the bait just, there's bread and pastries in there that's just mush, and the trail mix, they're kind of picking at the trail mix and stuff like that. Instead of staying for half an hour, they're staying for 5 or 10 minutes. And so what I did today is I went in there and I took a shovel and a rake, and I just scooped all the remaining bait off to the side and moved the crib and put new fresh pastries in there today and a bucket of trail mix. Gave it a shot of Northwood's Gold Mist on the bushes, and I just feel really, really good about this evening. All right, I got settled in here. Man, it is just a beautiful day to be in the woods. The wind is right. It's partial sunshine today. It's about 70 degrees. I don't care if I kill a bear. Okay, that's a lie. I really do want to kill a bear tonight. So, I'll show you the bait here. Yes, if you've been watching these videos as it's gone along, you'll see that this has changed a lot. This is where I moved the bait off of the spot where it got all sloppy. And there's been a bear in my tree stand and in my tree again today. And the bear has been up here breaking off branches and eating the acorns, and this is the second time I've seen signs of that. There's a lot of broken branches here. But I'm in a really nice big oak tree, and I'm well concealed up here. We are going to see some bears tonight. I can just about guarantee it. So let's settle in here. It's just a beautiful evening to be in the woods, and that's when you see the most bears. So here we go. pop. The bear ran about, sounded like it ran about 30 yards and everything just stopped. I don't know what to think. I guess I gotta get down and look at my arrow. And I mean, I really couldn't tell where the arrow hit. I gotta review the footage. Oh my gosh. Well, it's the morning after, and I've got bad news and good news. The bad news is that I lost the opportunity of a lifetime last night. The good news is that we do not have a mortally wounded or severely wounded bear. Just let me walk you through it a little bit. About 7 o'clock I had 2 bears come in, one of which fed at the bait for a while. The other one was just really nervous, and they came together, which is fairly unusual, but I've got cell phone camera pictures of these and covert scouting camera pictures of these 2 bears, and they're together a lot. They're both really nice bears, between 250 and 300 pounds. When the bear fed for quite a while, and I looked at him and I'm like, that is a really nice bear. He's got a beautiful pelt on him. He's an adult male, but there's 2 absolute giants on this bait, so I let him go. And for the first time this year, when he walked away, I had just a twinge of regret, where I thought, you know, I might regret passing up that bear. But I just really felt there was a good chance that I was going to see belly dragger before the end of legal shooting light, and I did. He came in between 7:35 and 7:40, and the end of legal shooting light is 8:01 yesterday. And he walked right to the base of my tree and just stood there and kind of looked around for a moment, and then he walked towards the bait. And when he was about halfway to the bait, I got my bow off the hanger and got everything going. I really, when I first saw him in person, I realized that I significantly underestimated his size from the trail camera pictures. You know, I've been saying this bear's, I've been thinking it's between 350 and 400. I've been calling him 350 on camera, just because I prefer to be wrong that way than the other way, and conservative. But I realistically thought this bear might hit 400. Well, when he walked to the bait and I saw him in person for the first time, I realized he was well over 400 pounds. He's a giant. He got a huge head on him too, way over Pope and Young minimums, maybe close to Boone and Crockett minimums. So anyway, he just, after he looked over the area, he just rolled in. I mean, he just walked right up there, turned broadside. When he turned broadside, I drew, and I knew that I was going to just take the first shot opportunity that I had. And I got the pin on him, and his left leg was back a little bit, and he was kind of turned towards me a little bit. He might have just caught motion out of the corner of his eye when he saw me drew or something like that, but so I just had the pin on him, and I thought, I really liked him to open up those ribs a little better. Well, he just did. Just as soon as I thought that, he opened up the ribs a little better, and I touched off the shot. Well, he turned to the right to give me the shot and immediately turned back. So 2 bad things happened here. Number one, right as I committed to the shot, he turned and put that left leg back, so the arrow went between his front legs, and I didn't know that until I saw it on the big screen on my computer screen at home. I didn't even realize where the hit was. So I heard it hit him, but I saw the luminoc on the ground, and the sound it made was really weird. It was like a loud pop, and I thought, that's really a strange sound for, going through a bear that size. In fact, a bear that size is really, really wide, and you really got to push an arrow at a high speed to get an arrow all the way through a bear and that far into the ground on the other side of him. So I started having doubts about the shot, but I waited about 10-15 minutes and went down and looked at the arrow, and the arrow was buried in the ground at least 6 inches, so that gave me cause for concern. I pulled the arrow out, and it just had fat, a little bit of blood and hair on it. And at that point, I became pretty worried that I might have hit him in the brisket or something like that. And he ran about 30 yards and just stopped. I could hear him crash, and then he just stopped. And I thought, well, he either just laid down or he's just walking slowly. So I took a few steps down his exit trail, and I found a couple spots of blood. And then at that point, I'm like, I just got to go back and put this video on the big screen and see exactly what I've got here. And as soon as I brought it up on my computer screen at home and played the footage, I realized what happened. The arrow just went through just the flesh, or not, just the fat of his brisket, and did not contact any. I mean, he's not by any stretch mortally wounded. So I guess that's the good news, but my chances to shoot that bear again this year probably are pretty well zero. I've got other bears on that bait. I've got to decide what to do from here. I hardly slept at all last night, and I thought, I just running this over in my mind, trying to figure out what I did wrong, and everything felt right. Well, I thought, I'm just going to check my bow, and I realized, shoot, I haven't even shot my bow since the season opened. I've been so busy with baiting and everything like that, and I have a job too. I had some deadlines for magazine articles and so forth. I just haven't taken the time to shoot my bow, and it's been banging around. It's in the case when it's in the truck, but it's been banging around on the four-wheeler and stuff like that. And so I took my bow out this morning and shot it, and much to my shock, the first two shots were like 8 inches low. And realistically, I don't know what happened or when it happened, but I'm just working on getting it dialed back towards the bullseye right now. But at some point, this bow, this sight, got jimmied off. There's a part of me that doesn't even want to show this to the world, because I'm 100% responsible for it. I should have shot my bow. I don't know when it happened. It could have happened a week ago, I should be shooting my bow more often, and typically I'm more diligent than that. But so I just wanted to share this with you because maybe you can learn something from it, and we can all learn from each other's mistakes. But I'm pretty heartbroken right now, and just trying to decide how to proceed from here. So I'm sorry this got so long, but I just wanted to share the whole story with you so you understood, and maybe you can take something away. Well, somehow it got to be the 19th day of bear season, and I still have a bear tag in my pocket. And well, actually, I know exactly how it got to be here, because we have had miserable weather for bear hunting this year. It's rained almost every day for the last 2 weeks. We have a ridiculous amount of acorn crop, hazelnuts. It just was a fantastic year for the mast crops. Well, I've also passed up a couple of pretty nice bears. I've been really diligent and patient and really working the big ones, and I finally put a gigantic bear in front of me. His name was Belly Dragger, that's what I named him, and blew the shot. So that's exactly how I got to be on September 19th without killing a bear. Now the last 4 days it's been ridiculously hot and humid, in the 80s plus high humidity, and I mean, normally this time of the year we've had a frost or two, but the bears have not been moving very well at all. In fact, almost all of the pictures of bears that I have on the covert scouting cameras are between midnight and sunrise. So it's been tough, and but I love bear hunting. I love learning about them, and I'm working them hard. And I'm going to go hunt tonight for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's a little bit cooler. It only got up to like 81 today instead of 85, 6, 7, 8. And the humidity's down a little bit. So, and the wind is right for the big swamp bait. And so I think there's a fair chance that we'll have a bear come in before dark tonight. I went out today, put some fresh bait out. and things are looking pretty good. So I'm going to jump on the four-wheeler and head back out there to the stand, and while I'm driving out there, watch this short clip about a bear staging area. I wanted to share something with you here that you've probably never seen before. A heavy rain just quit, so everything's wet, and I thought it would be a good time while I was coming in here to bait to explore a little bit. Now, my tree stand is about 50, maybe 75 yards that way, and I don't know if you can see my four-wheeler right through there. That's the trail that I come in on, and just use that trail to bait. I don't leave the four-wheeler parked there when I'm hunting. But I noticed that these bears are coming across that trail right over here. So I decided, since it was wet and everything, it would be a good chance to go back here and explore this a little bit. I've mostly been hunting in east, southeast, and northeast winds. I've been really avoiding the wind that blows at the bait, which is directly west of my tree stand. And I've got it set up so I can walk in and access the tree stand without going to the bait, so I don't leave any fresh scent around the bait. Okay, so I came in this trail, and what I discovered was an indicator of why these really big bears are so hard to kill. So here is a trail where they're coming in when the wind has got some east to it, like it does right now. They're coming in on this trail. I hope you can see this. Okay, there's a trail right. I'm not very good at this. There's a trail right there. Okay, and if you look right here, see how packed down that is? Okay, those big bears, those big mature males, they have this game figured out. That's a spot where he just sits down. Okay, and he waits and he smells. And there's another one right up here. See where these are broken off? There's a spot right here where he just sits here. Okay, you go another, I don't know, 15 feet. There's another one right here. They almost look like deer beds or something. But that gives you an idea of how hard it is to shoot these bears, because they're smart enough to find places where they can smell what's going on at the bait site, and they can a lot of times, if they figure out where your tree stand is, they can find places where they can sit and observe your tree stand where you don't even know they're there. You can't hear them or see them, but they can observe and see if you make any movement. You swat a mosquito or something like that, you might not see that bear before daylight. It's really calm in here, so I want to keep this short and quiet because I'm sure that there are bears pretty close by. But I hope you learned something from that last clip that I showed you, as I did. I'm really glad I walked down the trail a little ways there and discovered what I did, because after 20 years on bears, I'm still learning things like this. And I know that bears tend to stage up and analyze the situation before they come to the bait. The big mature bears don't just roll in like the little ones do. And I know that sometimes they come to places like that and they'll sit there and just wait, and they might wait a half an hour or even an hour. They might wait till just at dark or after dark, but they'll just sit there and they'll watch and they'll look and they'll listen and they'll smell. And it's hard to get those big suckers to come in. This do-it-yourself public land bear hunting on heavily pressured properties is extremely difficult. The smaller bears are not that hard, but the really big ones, the mature ones, they absolutely know how to play the game. So we're going to settle in here for the next 4 hours and see what happens. I'm probably going to lower my standards a little bit. You know, it's getting to the point of time here now where, you know, deer season's open, and I'm just ready to shoot a bear, I guess. I've exhausted most of my possibilities on the really big ones, and I'm not going to completely give up. But if a good representative 250-pound bear comes in tonight, I'm probably going to go ahead and take it. So thanks for being with me. It should be an interesting evening. We got a death moan. Jeez. Talk about an adrenaline rush. Holy cow. Man, I just saw a tree, a small tree, doing this number. I'm like, what the heck? That has to be something rubbing it. And then I saw a black spot. I got the camera turned on. He took a long time. I mean, he took 10 minutes to go the last 10 yards to the bait. And then when he came behind the bait, he was broadside, but he just kind of was looking up. He's still death moaning. He was looking out of the corner of his eye. When he turned his head, I drew my bow, and then he just kept coming towards me, and I never gave me a shot. I'm like, I'm gonna have to let my bow down pretty quick here. But then he turned and gave me a broadside shot, and I double lunged him. He just went about 50 yards, and he's laying right over here. So, okay, well, we found my bear. He only ran less than 50 yards, and I'm really happy with it. It's been such a struggle this year to try to keep these bears on the baits with the difficulty of all the rain that we've had and the abundance of natural foods. I've worked so hard to try to keep good bait in front of them, and I just put new lure on. Northwoods Bear Product Gold Mist is what I was using on this particular bait, and every time it rained I just have to go out and put new lure out and freshen up the bait. And so I'm really happy with this bear. It'll be a good eating bear, and he came in, you know, I was really, I drew my bow a long time before I shot the bear. I was holding at full draw for a long time because the bear was super cautious and didn't present me with a shot, and finally it gave me a nice broadside shot, and double lunged it, and he ran probably less than 50 yards, you know, less than 10 seconds he was doing a death moan. So it's been a long and interesting season. I've learned a lot, and I'm really happy to be going home with a bear. So thanks for following along on these videos. I'd be happy to you know, read your comments in the comment section below. Thanks for being a subscriber, and we will see you on the next hunt. Well, there you have it, the entire 2019 bear hunting season here in Minnesota. I'm surprised you got this far, actually. I hope it was interesting to you. I did one more video. It was basically where I just sat down and talked about the 2019 season and what I did right, what I did wrong, what I learned from it, and so forth. And so I will put that video right up in the corner right here if you want to watch that. But anyway, thank you for getting to the end of this, and if you made it all the way to the end, leave a comment in the comment section below and say, hey, I made it all the way to the end. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of this channel.